Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with Randall Morgan of Morganstar Media. Welcome to today's show.
Thank you, Alan.
So for the listeners, you've done a lot of very notable work over the years with your media business. And, among them, you did a project with Jane Goodall.
Mm-hmm. You want me to pant hoot?
Yeah,
let's blow your audio.
Let's go through the. So let's go. How did that happen?
Happen? It's serendipitous. I'm a graduate student at Stanford. Just finished my degree in documentary film, master's in documentary film. In walks Jane Goodall one day with her husband Hugo von Lauwick, and says we're going to make chimp films. And so somehow I talked them into hiring me as the assistant. 2 weeks later, Hugo, who is the man who shot this marvelous footage, nothing like it in the animal film world, says, well, Randall, he said, I'm off to Hollywood. You'll have to take over the project. He disappears. So for the next, I can't remember how many years, 3, 4, maybe 5 years, Jane and I worked together, and we did, I can't even remember, 5, 6, 7 films. We edited at Stanford. We would meet at Stanford for 1 quarter a year. She'd go back to Tanzania. Then we'd meet in Bournemouth, England, where she lived in this fascinating, decaying Victorian mansion. We spent a lot of time at National Geographic, which was sponsoring this whole thing. Caltech, and this was before the internet, so we would spend a lot of time on the phone, and we put together these films for National Geographic. It was fun.
So out of that, the Morganstar Media has gone on to do many other documentary films.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And so as you've gone through the years and reflect back at your journey here, what are some of the notable films that you've shot, in addition to the National Geographic Jane Goodall?
Good question. Our films always have a point. We seek out films that we feel that we're sort of uniquely capable of doing. And I think, thinking back on it, it's the biographies probably that stand out the most. We learn the most. We make biographies that kind of, I guess you'd say, sort of reveal the vision of the individual or the family. Someone may be passed on, or they may be right there on camera with us. I guess that's probably the ones that really stick out. We've also done some really interesting films, did a couple films in Haiti. Interesting. Philippines, interesting. Ecuador. Those are fun because of where they are, but also the content is good. Yeah.
So traveling around the world, I guess you've seen quite a few places, but going into another country, that must be requiring some level of adjustment with the equipment, the climate, the culture.
Yeah, it's just all of the difficulties with travel, plus personnel. In Haiti, for instance, you have to work with a bodyguard. So we always have to have a bodyguard with us, and we just can't go out on the street and shoot because kidnapping is kind of an industry in Haiti. So that was sort of a restriction there. Philippines, totally the opposite. People are so welcoming and nice and sure, happy to talk to you. No problems at all. Other problems, sometimes there's problems with customs, but it's not as difficult as you might think on our scale because we're a small scale operation.
Now, it's mainly you and your wife, and then you bring in people to help put films together?
Yeah, we bring in freelancers when we need them, when we need an extra camera, extra sound. And on some of the adventures, we've been able to take some of our own children who grew up in this business, none of whom followed it, by the way, but who are still skilled at it.
It's interesting. How many kids do you have?
We have seven children.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. And grandkids?
I always get the number wrong. I think we're up to 20. Yeah, I think we're up to 20. And
well, that makes life a lot of fun.
It does. Yes, it does. Yeah, really. So. I mean, that's what life is really all about. It's the children, the grandchildren. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Randall, I'm coming up against a break. But when I get back, I want to move into the essence of how a film documentary is laid out and made, and defining audiences. And I think this is fascinating that you're here today, and I look forward to hearing more on film documentary.
Good. Happy to do that.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Grandpa, can we do chemistry? Papa, Daddy. Grandpa, let's do something fun.
We'll help you stay organized so you can focus on what really matters in life. Give us a call today and see how we can help you start saving taxes. Welcome back and visiting here today with Randall Morgan, Morganstar Media. And first segment, we talked about your start in the film industry after getting a master's in documentary or filmmaking from Stanford. You worked on a project with Jane Goodall, first as an assistant and then as a lead for putting these documentaries together for National Geographic. I would like to fast forward, though, to today. With all these years of experience of putting documentaries together, what is your process of when you're defining a documentary, and how do you lay this out?
You know, Alan, it begins usually with an image. Oddly enough, an idea and an image. We often conceive of it as maybe the first image that you're going to see in the film, or the last. Here's an example. We're working right now on a documentary about the Nez Perce Indians losing their language and trying to bring it back. It starts with an image of a snowy battlefield in northern Montana, Bear Paw battlefield, 16 miles from a tiny town out in the middle of the Montana Bear Paw Mountains. And for some reason, that image sort of stuck in our minds. And right now, just yesterday, I've been writing the narration for the opening of that film based on that image. The film's going to begin with that, and it's going to end with that. Sometimes it starts with an idea like, let me think of one. Okay, an idea, an abstract idea. Farmers are using too much water and causing too much erosion on certain soils. You'd say, well, that's really boring. It's not boring. It's critical, because the idea is that only the top 6-8 inches of soil is productive. That's what produces all of our food. You take that soil away by erosion, you've taken away food production. Big universal problem around the world. Starts with that idea, and then we try to build an image into that and develop it from there.
When documentaries are started, normally there's some sponsorship involved. And how do they usually evolve? People contacting you, they have a concept, they have an idea, and say, Randall, I'd like you to give this image or direction there. What's that process?
In our 40-plus year career, that's happened twice.
Okay.
The other ones, we've gone to them, and we've said, you're sitting on an incredible story here that people need to see. Tell us about it, let us do it, give us the money to do it. And it's developed from that.
And what should the expectation be with the process of laying out a film documentary?
Oh, it all depends. It's just like building a house.
Okay.
How many bathrooms? How big's the garage? That. So it depends on how long it is, how complex it is. Who do you have to talk to? When is it going to have to be on? What is the distribution? I mean, it's different for each project.
Now, oftentimes people turn on the public television station. They'll see, hey, there's a documentary here. Are those screened in advance? Now, if you're trying to do something for PBS, do you need to first start with the need for PBS to show something and work backwards, or or do you make it and then promote it?
No. As we say in the business, never front your own. Yeah, what you do, it's all done by writing. All films are written first. So before a camera ever comes out of a case, there's been a huge paper trail. So it begins with a concept, begins then with a treatment, which is a script for a documentary. But it's all written involves complex negotiations with the sponsors to see that the proper budget would be there, timing, scheduling. It's a rather lengthy process.
Randall, I need to take a quick break. Running up against the time here, but when we get back, I want to then roll out into greater detail on the layout of a documentary from start to finish. And we'll be right back after these messages.
Grandpa, we found the golden stone.
We have to watch out for the treasure guardian.
Oh no, the treasure guardians!
Since you can't take your wealth with you, spend time with your family. Groco, servicing family office needs since 1964.
Welcome back. I'm visiting here today with Randall Morgan and Morganstar Media. And the last segment, we were talking about putting together film documentaries and the process that it takes. Now, I was enamored by you doing a documentary down in Haiti, and followed with the comment that, and in Haiti we have to have bodyguards. So when you're laying something out in a country which requires knowing your environment like that, tell me, how did you get into that, first of all? Why did you get into it?
I got into it from a good friend
who
adopted 5 children from an orphanage in Haiti. Children, beautiful children. And we got interested in that. We said, how can we help this orphanage? What can we do? Well, the only thing we can do is make movies. I just happened to run into someone who owned a cell phone company in Haiti, and called them up and said, this is a great idea for a film. Why don't you give us the money to produce this? He said, fine, happy to do that. And a few weeks later, we ended up in Haiti. It was great. The Haitian people are wonderful. The orphanage that takes in abandoned children, abandoned and orphaned children. Wonderful people doing a marvelous, marvelous job. We ended up making 2 films there, one before the earthquake of 2010 and one after the earthquake of 2010. And it was quite an incredible experience for us. Films raised a lot of money for the orphanage. It was a very productive project all the way around.
And so moving on from Haiti, now you recently served a mission in the Philippines, and you also got in to do some filming in Southeast Asia. Can you give some of your experience? How did that evolve in the project?
That was interesting also. My wife and I together served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Philippines, in northern Luzon, in a small farming village. Beautiful place, wonderful, wonderful people. We thought one of the great things about serving this mission is we don't have to make films. So we've got some vacation from our business, and we did, however, take a camera with us because we were planning to shoot a piece in Burma when the mission ended. But we had no intention of making a film in the Philippines. Well, it just so happened that a couple of situations developed that really needed films to be made for. One was trying to bring back to the church members that had been lost to the records. The other was for training new missionaries when they came. It was obvious that they needed a film to introduce new missionaries from all over the world to the wonderful Philippine people and what their work would be like. So we did those 2 films. They were very useful. We're glad we took the camera.
And then you ended up in Burma?
We did not. That was canceled after all of that, which is often, I should mention, something happens all the time, too. A project will get canceled.
So these documentaries that you put together, I imagine then, looking back in those 2 films, what was the result of putting the documentaries together for the lost members and building that community?
It was great. When the head of the the Church of Latter-day Saint mission project in the Philippines saw that film, he said, this has got to go to all of the 22 missions, each one having over 200 missionaries in the Philippines. And that film was distributed, and it was able to instruct the local congregations how to find those members that were lost. So it was extremely successful. The other one in training the missionaries is still being used. So we felt really good about those.
Now, I want to touch briefly on, you also do autobiographies or about
Biographies,
biographies,
yes, we do. This is really what we enjoy most, and I think what we're best at. We do the story of a family, or the story of an individual, story of an enterprise. It's fascinating. It's taken us all over the country. We do an in-depth story that, in a sense, ends up revealing, I think, to our clients the vision that they may not have actually seen themselves of what they've been doing in their lives. Fascinating work. Everyone's got a great story. You've got a great story. We could make one about you.
Well, we'll see. When those biographies are completed, how are they typically used?
That's interesting. It's changed over time. We used to distribute them on DVDs to the family. And we still do. Well, that's a secondary, because we produce not only the biography itself, the video itself, but several what we call sidebar videos of issues and circumstances in the family that they want to highlight specifically. But now people are putting them on their website, and we offer to create a website for them, and they distribute them around the world. Families are often spread around the world. So they're distributed both on DVD and on website.
When those take place, how long does it usually take a biography to be completed?
How long does it take to build a house? It all depends. It depends on how many people we have to interview. We worked on one project for 10 years. We made 7 hour and 90-minute biographies on the one family for 10 years. Others take us 3 months. So it just depends on how extensive the project is.
Randall, when everything is said and done and you're moving through looking back at life, what are some of the messages that you hope to leave to those people who you've interacted with?
Family. That just always is the key. It's family. And people that we've interviewed, no matter where, their hearts lie with their family. And that's the thing that really touches. Well, 2 things. Family, and how all of us, whatever our station in life, are in this interesting life experience together. Whether we're wealthy, many of our clients are extremely affluent, whether we're filming on the street in West Oakland with the homeless, whether we're with the fire victims in Chico, Paradise, California. Everybody is... we're all in this life facing these challenges together. And it's the heart of that what gives us the strength, we see, is our families.
I've been visiting here today with Randall Morgan of Morganstar Media. And Randall, thanks for being on today's show.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.